Hey guys, we are live. What is up? Welcome. It's quite early here in the UK. Well, it's 9:28 a.m., but it feels quite early, quite exhausted. I just wanted to jump on here, everyone, to basically talk about what I learned from 8 industry thought leaders when I did Swim or Sink a couple weeks back now. COVID is somewhat, we're starting to see a sense of normality in Sydney. Alice, how are you? So that's fantastic to sort of, be able to start to get back to our real life in Sydney. In the UK, it's a little bit different. We're still all bunkered down in lockdown, so that's been quite a challenge. But I wanted to just chat about the 8 industry thought leaders that I interviewed throughout the past month. The first one being Sharon, the second one being Ali Taylor, the third one being Chris Melotti, the fourth one being Francesco Ruggiero, the fifth one being Frank, the sixth one being Michael Regan, the seventh one being Noni, and the eighth one being Glenn Silburn. Now, each of these 8 industry thought leaders taught me some amazing things. So I'm going to start off with Sharon Blaine. Sharon sort of taught me to think outside the box, which was fantastic, to focus on your business and your lane. So tunnel vision focus, to know your target audience. Now, she really stressed target audience, which I thought was incredibly interesting, to really focus on your audience. And, it's something that I think we all neglect, and that I neglect, certainly in my brands, is that I sometimes don't always focus on audience because I'm targeting everybody. I need to be focusing on audience. So that was a really good point. So your marketing and sales material, target audience. Focus on good customer service. Now, surprisingly, she actually said that a customer service was somewhat even more important than social media, and she's got like 150,000 followers on social media. So that was interesting coming from her, to be honest, that customer service was actually one of the biggest ones. Look at your cash flow and get rid of luxury expenses during the COVID period. So what I learned is that you have to be getting rid of, although, you might like steak or whatever it is, what she taught me is that you'd have to get beef mince for now and just cut cost and focus on just not getting all those luxury expenses and just getting the things that you need for the time being, just so that you're cutting those costs and you making most of the money that you have. So that was a really interesting episode with Sharon. Now, I wanted to move on to Ali. Ali owned an events-based mental health music company. And what I learned from him is to create a daily structure so that you look after your mental health. So I think that applies for anyone, because I know that if I don't have my hour in the morning where I go for a run, I'm super stressed throughout the day. So I need to have that hour in the morning where I go for a run or a walk, or just have a moment to myself where I can collect my thoughts, have a coffee, whatever it is. I just think that was a really good point by him. So creating a daily structure and good habits. From Chris Melotti. Chris Melotti is a copywriting, marketing sort of expert. He's focusing on education at the moment. So he has catered his marketing message to help businesses help themselves during this period. So allowing the clients to find their customers when they're searching for things. So for example, if you said the top 10 tips for how to, do this or that, well, whatever it is, the top 10 tips, then those customers will look at your blog post. They'll see you as a thought leader, as a expert in your field, and they're more likely to buy from you. So that was really interesting from Chris. He also spoke about sensitive marketing and copywriting in this time. So obviously it's a time that so much is going on with more than one thing. So to become sensitive, nurturing, and reassuring with your messages, which I thought was really interesting. And also build your brand awareness in reaching out to them. So be more human with your approach, and less automated in this time specifically, but even moving forward post-COVID era. Looking at current business model and identifying challenges and working out digital ways to overcome and embrace. So what do I mean by this? This is essentially making sure that you're essentially just doing things like Zoom calls, doing things like, digital ways of doing things so that, for example, on Zoom calls, you can't read body language as easy as you can in person. And for sales, that is incredibly hard. So creating things like digital body language, and what do I mean by this? I mean by tracking your client. So tracking your client from the lead in the door to the sale. So you can track to see whereabouts on the website they are with permission. You can track when they open up an email and what link they click. You can track things like forms. So how do you, how long do they spend on the form and where are they spending that time? So that is kind of a thing so that you can be so timely with your response. So when they're looking at that proposal or that rate card, you get a notification or a ping on your phone and you go, fantastic, let me like one of their posts or let me do whatever. So there's certain things that you can do in this time that are digital that helps you sell and helps you get past this issue that is COVID-19. The next post was Francesco Radrino. He owns a global brand. Cheers, Josh. How are you, mate? He owns a global brand in UK, New York, and Sydney. Now, he spoke about it's a good time to spend time with family and self. And when things are uncertain in the world, you think about where you fit in the world. So the big thing that I took from him is that you've just got to be grateful, take life for granted, all these things, and also look at your stresses and your unnecessary stresses. Now, this really resonated with me because I stress about a ton of things. And some of the things I shouldn't even be stressing about. But I do because it's just in my DNA or chemicals or whatever, the makeup of who I am. So I think that was a really good point and quite an eye-opener for me. Thinking about your unnecessary stresses whilst we have more time and just getting rid of them. They don't mean anything. So the next one was from Frank Lavotti. Frank owns an Italian restaurant in DY, which I have been to many, many times. It's a shame I can't get takeout order from the UK, I'll tell you that. But quality food at a reasonable price is their big thing. And surprisingly, like Sharon, the first participant I interviewed, he said creating great customer relationships and relationships in general. Sharon said to create great customer service. So if you create a good relationship with your client, they're going to come back regardless of, what other things may not be perfect. They're going to come back because they like you, they like doing business with you, they like your food, whatever it is. So nothing beats good service. Now, the next person I interviewed was Michael Regan, the mayor of Northern Beaches, my local area back at home. He was saying support local business where you can. Again, small business is a big part of the economy, and we need to be going back to the gyms, getting gym memberships when they're open back, to now that they've opened back as of today, I believe. Make sure that you get that gym membership back and get your health back on track after being in lockdown for so long. But it's really, really important to help these small businesses because they're the big, although they're small, they mean massively to the economy. So that was a big one from Michael. Be incredibly clear with your communications and put in place strategies and backup plans. So think about what happens if plan A doesn't work, what happens if plan B doesn't work, what happens if plan C doesn't work. Just think about multiple plans and be ready for what may or may not happen. So the next one was Noni. Nani Crawford. She said to call up all your bills and ask for support during the COVID period. Now it probably doesn't matter as much because time's gone on, so I'm probably not very timely with my response here. But at the time, it was very, very interesting, and it's something I didn't know that you could do. I thought you just had to pay bills and that was it. But there are things that you can do financially to sort of put holds on bills or discount bills, or pay it back in a payment plan, whatever it is. Now, I've actually included payment plans in my service because I feel like it's a really big thing to sort of make it. You got to try and make it as easy as possible for your client to purchase from you. So whether that's creating credit card payments, whether that's creating, payment plans, whatever it is, just make sure that you're making it as easy as possible for the client, and that the customer service is tops again. Cut out the costs and the things you don't really need. Again, that's been said twice, I believe. Create a financial calendar with a good old pen and paper, which I've done myself. And that's essentially looking at your expenses and looking at your debts. So looking at what's going to cost at what period. So when your tax bills are going to be due, when your car rego is going to be due, when how much credit card debt you've got, if you've got credit card debt, and then when are all your incomings. Look at your pipeline. Again, spend less than you're making and make sure that you're keeping track and have a healthy, busy pipeline. So that was a really good one from Nani. She also said to target the high interest items first. So obviously if you get a cash advance from a credit card, pay that off first because the interest rate's going to be much higher. Or if you have a, the thing when you have a bank account and you have like a negative cash amount. So I forgot what it's called, but if someone's on here, let me know what it is. But essentially, if you have cash in your bank and you spend all that cash on your marketing, on your subcontractors, and you're like, oh, damn, I've got no actual cash, there is a blanket that can be created negatively, but again, the interest rate is quite high on that. But it does help for when you're paying multiple invoices to subcontractors, and it's like, well, I've got to have that blanket just in case. So put $20 to $40 away a week in a low interest account that you just forget about, and you create an emergency fund. Now, an emergency fund is, the way that I like to see it is I call it a runway, sorry. So what I do is I look at what are my expenses for a month, and I times that by 6, and I try and create that amount of cash to have in the bank so that I have 6 months worth of expenses and bills poured away in cash. So if a rainy day like this comes with COVID going on, you're sorted. So that was really interesting from Nani. Glenn Silburn. Now, Glenn Silburn is a publisher for a professional beauty magazine, a B2B beauty magazine. Now, he is saying that budgets will be tighter, so value add will need to be increased. A big increased focus on digital, obviously, during this time. Industries want current info to time-sensitive topics, so they created a COVID-related platform called Beauty Strong, which essentially had information for the beauty industry and for small business owners, really, because I got some value there, which essentially just gave the latest and the greatest information about what's going on, how to help yourself, how to navigate this uncertain scenario. Obviously, because they're kind of experts in the field and they're looked up to, they sort of got to create that vibe. Print, surprisingly, because they're predominantly print, they didn't die in the print era. They've actually managed to forge forward in this time. And print is a fantastic engagement tool because there's so much time spent on it. The quality of the content is fantastic. So you're reading, you're looking, it's a beautiful design. The engagement for a magazine is actually much bigger usually than, digital, because digital, you can check it now or then. It's rushed. It's, people are just got to create digital because it's good for SEO. So they'll just create a bunch of blog posts or a bunch of whatever it is. They'll just mash out content on their laptop. As long as it's using keywords, then, they're getting out there to their marketplace. So that's the problem with digital as opposed to print, which is really thought out and professional and engaging. People consume media in different ways. So he used the word cross-channel tactics. So make sure that you're marketing on all of your platforms. So that's it. That's the 8 episodes. That's 8 thought leaders from different industries across the world. That's what I learned. Let me know what you guys think. If there's any initial questions, Josh has said, yeah, things could be better, but then again, things could be worse. True. But I'm fine, thanks, mate. Hope you're doing well. I'm doing well, thanks. But yeah, any questions that you might have whilst we're on this live, please do let me know. I'll just wait for the one viewer on here. There were 2 before. But yes, I hope this content was engaging. I hope you got some insight and learnt from it. I'm probably going to save this so it's here for 24 hours. I think there's some engaging info there. But yes, that brings us to the end. Some fantastic insights. I created this show to kind of drown out, well, not that it did, but sort of drown out the noise, because there's a lot of negative noise in the media at the moment. So to try and get rid of that and focus on positive and education and how we get through it, because we're stronger together and, we will rise above. So thank you so much for watching. Appreciate it and stay safe. Thanks Australia for watching and UK for watching. I'll chat to you all soon. See you guys.